I'm 78 now. And if there is one thing life has punished me for, it is my silence. I always believed silence meant peace, maturity, strength. I thought staying quiet avoided problems. Arguments scared me, so I preferred to walk away. Hurt feelings? I swallowed them. Disagreements? I avoided them. Love? I assumed people just knew. I never understood that silence isn't calmness. It is distance slowly being built brick by brick. And when you build too many silent walls, eventually you find yourself alone inside them. I wasn't always this quiet. As a young man, I simply learned that talking often led to trouble. My father yelled, my mother cried, and I watched arguments tear our home apart. So I promised myself I would be different. I thought the opposite of shouting was silence, but I never learned balance. I didn't realize communication isn't shouting, it is understanding. Years passed, and I became the quiet man. People said I was calm, mature, composed. They admired my patience. But patience isn't always wisdom. Sometimes it's fear dressed nicely. When I married my wife, I truly loved her. But I thought love alone was enough. Love without conversations, without vulnerability, without expressing feelings. When she got upset, I went silent. When she needed reassurance, I stayed quiet because I assumed she already knew I loved her. When she wanted emotional closeness, I offered comfort and presence, but not in words. She often asked, "Why don't you ever talk? Why don't you tell me what you feel?" And I would just smile and say, "Everything is fine." But everything wasn't fine. Slowly, tiny spaces began forming between us. She stopped sharing certain things because she felt I wasn't interested. I stopped asking questions because I thought she needed space. Silence became our language. Dinner time went from conversations to quiet chewing. Our bed went from warmth to two separate islands. We loved each other, yes, but love without communication loses color. It becomes dull, tired, heavy. We didn't fight, and people thought that meant we were happy. But sometimes the most broken relationships are the ones with no arguments left, just silence. Then came children, beautiful, loud, emotional souls who needed parents that spoke, listened, taught, comforted. Their mother tried, she talked to them, expressed, explained, guided. I loved them deeply, but instead of talking, I simply worked hard, provided, and stayed quiet. When they hurt, I hugged them but rarely spoke. When they succeeded, I smiled but rarely expressed pride. They never heard, "I love you" enough. They never heard, "I'm proud of you" enough. They only saw a father who was always present, but emotionally distant. And children remember silence too. As they grew older, my silence stopped looking like calmness. It started looking like indifference. When they made mistakes, I didn't discuss, I simply stayed quiet. When they were confused, I didn't guide, I assumed they would figure it out. When they felt hurt by me, they waited for me to address it, but I never did. Because in my head, silence meant, "I don't want to hurt you." In their hearts, silence meant, "You don't care enough to talk." And somewhere between intention and interpretation, love got lost. Years later, I noticed something painful. My wife stopped trying to talk to me. She stopped asking how I felt. She stopped expecting emotional connection. Do you know how heartbreaking it is when someone gives up on being understood? She was still caring, still dutiful. But there was a quiet sadness in her eyes, the sadness of someone who has spent years speaking to a closed door. One night she said softly, "You're a good man, but I've spent my life feeling emotionally alone beside you." That sentence tore me apart. Then came the day I always thought I had avoided. The explosion, not of shouting, but of pain finally speaking. My wife cried for years of unexpressed emotions. My children confronted me for years of emotional distance. They told me how my silence hurt them more than any argument ever could. I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to say I loved you all, I cared, I always did. But how do you defend silence? How do you prove love you never expressed? I just sat there, a man finally facing the cost of his quietness. Life moved forward, as it always does. My children grew up and built their own lives. They love me, yes, but we are not close the way families should be. They talk to their mother more. They share feelings with their friends, not me. They visit, but conversations are short. There is respect, but not emotional intimacy. And respect without warmth feels painfully cold. My wife stayed with me, but a part of her heart remained disappointed, tired, quietly broken. And I finally understood how loneliness can exist even inside a full home. Now at 78, silence doesn't feel like peace anymore. It feels like a heavy ghost sitting beside me. I sit alone often and think of all the words I should have said, the apologies I never spoke, the appreciation I never expressed, the love I never verbalized. So many unsentences trapped inside me, and now it's too late to fully repair everything. People think regret comes from things we say. No, the biggest regret comes from things we never say. Silence ages into regret, and regret hurts more than any argument ever could. It took me nearly 8 decades to understand something simple. Communication is not conflict. Talking is not weakness. Expressing is not immaturity. Silence is not strength. Strong relationships are not built by avoiding difficult conversations. They are built by facing them with love, honesty, and patience. If something hurts you, speak. If you love someone, say it. If you appreciate someone, tell them. If you're afraid, share it. Staying silent does not protect relationships, it stars them. If you're younger than me, listen carefully. Don't wait for old age to teach you what I learned too late. Don't assume people already know how you feel. Don't think time will fix everything. It won't. Talk to your partner. Talk to your children. Talk to your parents. Talk to your friends. Be brave enough to open your heart. Vulnerability won't break your relationships. Silence will. Speak kindly, honestly, gently, but speak. And if someone in your life is silent like I was, try once more to talk. Tell them how their silence hurts. Show them that emotional connection matters. But also remember, you cannot force someone to express. Save yourself too. Don't drown quietly beside someone who refuses to communicate. Relationships need conversation from both sides. Love alone is not enough. Communication keeps it alive. I don't hate my life. I have love around me. But I also live with the quiet ache of if only I spoke more. And that pain stays. So, my friend, if you still have time, don't choose silence when your heart wants to speak. Don't confuse peace with avoidance. Don't mistake quietness for strength. Speak your love, speak your pain, speak your truth. Because when you stay silent too long, relationships don't end loudly, they fade quietly.